Hello and welcome back to Granted Gardens. Today we're making chicken noodle soup. First, what we're gonna do is we're gonna prep our vegetables just so that they are here and ready to rock and roll when we are. Today I'm actually going to use some of my homemade bone broth that I have canned here. I'll add my video here to the top so you can see how I make my homemade bone broth. But this saves quite a few steps, and I'm hungry already, so I'm ready to go ahead and get this soup ready to eat. Fun fact, when I am making stuff like this, I always save or have an extra freezer bag on hand, and at any given time, if you come to visit my house, you will find a bag in my freezer that looks something like this. These are all of the food scraps that I have left over of onions, celery, green peppers, garlic, carrots that don't go to the animals. I save them here in this bag so that next time that I'm making bone broth, I can just use my scraps in my bone broth instead of having to cut up and use full or good produce that could be used as a final product. And again, if you want to check out that bone broth video, you'll understand a little bit more what I'm talking about. But today we're gonna add to my freezer bag. So I have my large pot here. When I make soup, I tend to make a lot of it, so I'll eat it all week long. So I have my pot on here. I'm actually going to just put a little bit of butter in the bottom of the pot and then add my garlic in to kind of let that brown a bit on medium-low heat. You can start to hear that sizzle. Once the garlic starts to brown a bit, we're going to go ahead and add our onions. We want to cook these down until they become semi to mostly translucent. If it gets to the point where your onions are starting to stick to the bottom of the pan, you can pour in just a little bit of your broth to help release that. Once your onions are just about translucent, we're going to pour the rest of our chicken broth into the pot. I'm going to fill this jar up with about half water just to make sure I get all that good stuff out. Now I'm going to add my second jar of broth. Rinse this out, add half with water, pour it in, and then wait for the broth to come to a boil. Now is when I'm going to also go ahead and add some spices. Since I have a ton of spices already in my broth, I don't need to add much. I'm just going to go ahead and add 2 bay leaves and some pepper. Now that we've got our broth up to a boil, we're going to go ahead and add in our vegetables. So now that we've got our vegetables in and our broth is back up to a boil, we're going to add in our chicken. So I have about roughly a pound of chicken here, which was just one ginormous piece that I actually cut up into 3 pieces. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put these into the boiling water. Then we're going to turn it down to about medium heat and we're going to let the chicken sit in there for about 20 minutes. So our chicken has been in here for 20 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the chicken out. Bring this back up to a boil and we're going to add our noodles. Alright, so our water's back up to a boil. I'm going to add in my noodles. our egg noodles. Give them a good stir. Bring that back to a boil and then let it boil for about 8 minutes with the noodles in. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for our noodles, we can go ahead and break up some of your chicken. So I just kind of tear mine apart. You can cut it as well. Now that our noodles have been boiling for 8 minutes, I am gonna go in and I'm gonna just take out these little bay leaves and we're gonna add in our chicken. Go ahead and mix that up real good. Well, I'm gonna go sit down and enjoy my dinner. But I hope that you guys enjoyed that. I love making soup. It's definitely one of my favorite things. I think I'm gonna start getting a little bit more creative with what the types of soup that I make, so maybe I'll take you guys along for the ride. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to sharing more with you soon.